Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. In today's video, we are going to discuss inflation, the honest truth of what I'm seeing, and we got a couple other news events that we are going to discuss. So we're going to discuss kind of what took place today, what's going on in the stock market, and then we're going to discuss some potential catalysts that I see coming up in the future. And let's go ahead and get right into this video. I am going to start off with PPI. So the latest reading of PPI, which stands for Producer Price Index, jumped to the highest on record of 11.2% yesterday. Many of you guys saw the main headline suggested that inflation may have peaked, and now this morning's PPI doesn't support that thesis at all. That's what we're seeing. And some of you guys called that out, so shout out to you guys. Some of you guys commented on my post yesterday, and you called that out, so you guys are right on it. Congratulations. Prices for final demand goods led with a 2.3% monthly increase, according to CNBC. Now, here's what I found very interesting, which I also think is not good. Bed Bath & Beyond just reported their earnings. The shares did slump 9%. I don't invest in that anyway. And Bed Bath & Beyond said, however, that they see a slowdown in consumer demand. Uh-oh, that's not good. So you saw that. Jamie Dimon, you guys know him. That's the JP Morgan Chase guy. He said he's not predicting a recession, but it is absolutely possible. That's what he said. I think that's actually a good sign because obviously it's possible. I mean, no shit, Sherlock. Like, yeah, we know a recession is always going to be possible and it inevitably will happen in our lifetimes. But the fact that he said that he's not predicting one, he doesn't necessarily see one, I think is a good sign because I probably would have expected him to have been a little bit more aggressive in his communication and said something like, we expect a recession, but he didn't say that, okay? Let me just go ahead and explain exactly what PPI does. So PPI measures the change in prices for goods as they leave the factory and is considered by many people to be the business version of the Consumer Price Index, otherwise known as CPI. Now, businesses are feeling the impacts of this rising inflation. I did take a look at Delta Airlines earnings today, which they reported earlier in the day, and they did report an 11% increase in operating expenses, and this was partly driven by higher fuel prices. So we did see that. Amazon reported today that it is adding a 5% fuel and inflation surcharge to U.S. sellers who use its fulfillment services. Because of this, Amazon is basically, it's really because of inflation, but Amazon is basically trying to offset some of its own costs by passing those fees along to sellers, which this is what businesses do. So we're not too surprised by that. But inflation looks a little bit more serious than I thought. What this data tells me, in my opinion, is that we're not so sure that inflation has peaked. And even if it has, I don't know when it's going to start going down. We know it's going to go down, right? It's eventually going to go down. The question is when. I was hoping it would start going down now, but with the PPI that just came out, the PPI index report print that just came out, I am not so sure. And that sucks. I mean, it's not that big of a deal for somebody that's a long-term investor necessarily, right? But it's definitely something, The other thing I wanted to say was we actually have a pretty good catalyst coming tomorrow. So today we had JP Morgan Chase, we had BlackRock, we had Delta Airlines report today. Those earnings were pretty good. They were okay. There were some mixes in there. But overall, I thought that they were pretty okay. I think what was more important is what these companies said regarding what's happening with their overall business and the consumer. I thought that was more important. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting because tomorrow you've got a bunch of the big banks reporting. You've got Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, PNC, Wells Fargo, Ally Financial, all reporting earnings tomorrow. I think that is going to give us a lot of insight into this entire inflation story and what's going on with the consumer and different things like that. So I'm very interested in that. In terms of next catalyst, I believe that the market has digested CPI and PPI print and is now looking ahead to big tech earnings. That's why I don't think the market has really done much. Even though the PPI came in really hot, the market didn't really do much because I think the market has kind of digested it. They're like, okay, well, this is what it is. Not as bad as we thought. And I think what's going to tell the bigger picture of this entire inflation story is going to be big tech earnings. So between April 26th and April 28th, that's in 2 weeks, you've got Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft reporting earnings. Half these companies I'm already invested in. And yes, you guys guessed it, I did buy some Google today. So you guys know Apple is one of my largest holdings. Microsoft's one of my largest holdings. For some reason, I just don't like Amazon. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I just don't like them. You guys know I don't like Facebook. But Google has officially been added to your boy's portfolio. Woohoo, let's go. So we got Apple, Google, Microsoft. They report earnings April 26th through April 27th. I think that's going to really tell the story, and I think that's really where you could see the market swing a certain way. I don't think May is going to be that good of a month, but then again, I really don't know. Like I said, you guys know me. I'm not in the business of trying to predict macroeconomics of the future, but I do want to tell you guys the news because obviously you guys care about it, and I think that the news is important in some instances. And so what am I overall doing? Well, you guys know my plan. If they come down to the price I like, I told you, Apple in 150s, I'm buying. What's that game, Monopoly? You roll the dice, you live on the property, buying Park Place, buying Boardwalk. That's how I am with these stocks. Buying Apple, buying Microsoft, buying Google. Google 2,500, buy. Microsoft at 280, 270, buy. Apple 150, buy. That's just me. You don't got to agree, but that is what I am doing. Those are my favorite companies. Those are the main stocks that move the indexes. So my index fund that I own via O, every time that moves, it's normally because of Apple, Microsoft, and Google. That's just the honest truth. So why not own them, right? So there you guys have it. Those are the stocks I've got on my watch list. That is what I'm paying attention to. That is what I plan to do. I am going to be paying attention very carefully to the earnings that come out regarding these big boy stocks, not only because I'm invested in them, but also because I think they are going to tell the bigger picture of what we can expect going forward and kind of what's going on with this whole inflation story. The other thing I want to point out is gas prices did start to go down. So that actually does kind of add to the thesis. Not gas prices. Crude oil started to go down. So you had it at like $120 or whatever. Now it's at like 90 something, whatever it was last time I checked, right? I think that's good too. Because I think a huge driver of inflation in March was gas. So we'll see what happens. Could it be the peak? Maybe. Could it not be the peak? I don't know. We'll find out in the next CPI print, right? But I do think you all should pay attention to tomorrow, Thursday, where you're going to see all the big banks report, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo. I think that'll be good, and I will be going over those earnings reports, and I probably will make another video talking about that to just kind of paint the picture of what we can expect economically going forward. And so there you guys have it. I have talked for 10 minutes, so there you go. That'll go ahead and conclude today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.